Hey everyone, I am Rob, and welcome back to In the Abyss. So hopefully you enjoyed yesterday's change up, different type of episode, being able to see different types of movies from different eras, and what it makes me realize is how many movies have been made, how many older movies are out there that we have yet to even hear of, let alone see. And I think that is the greatest thing about our profession is it's never ending, right? And the more and more that we go on, the more I'm starting to go backwards because I think the quality of movies are kind of going in a downward path, in my opinion. There's still some good stuff once in a while, but for me, I'm really working backwards. And it's funny because my friends will text me and they'll be like, "Hey, I watched such and such," and they'll give me a grade. And I got one yesterday, and it said I watched such and such on Netflix. I give it a D, and I'm like, I'm not even watching any of these new movies. I'm watching, these older films. I just got a bunch of kinos. I'm gonna start watching those. So for me, it is one of those things where we have to just sit there and realize there's a lot of film, and it gives us something to watch and be entertained by, which is super cool. So we are into 2012 in my first 50 years. A really good year, in my opinion, in 2012. There's a lot of really good movies. Two that I'm not going to show you, one that I already have and one I don't have, but I just ordered on Blu-ray, so it is what it is. The first one is Hotel Transylvania. Once again, I don't talk too much about the animated films, but I do enjoy that one because, as you know, I do like the monsters. And it is a whole group of monsters in an animated movie. And I think it's really well done. I haven't seen the other ones, but I really enjoyed that first one. The other one I want to mention is Silver Linings Playbook. We all know about it. Jennifer Lawrence in her breakout role, in my opinion, of really making her into what she became. Robert De Niro, Bradley Cooper, really good movie. I never owned it, never had it. And when I was going through this list, I was like, shoot, I don't own this. So I wanted to order it, and I went ahead and did just that. So it should be here next week, but I can't show it to you today. But the ones I will show you are also really good. And in my opinion, Hotel Transylvania or Silver Linings Playbook wouldn't have made the top 3 or 4 anyway. So it's fine. The first one I'm going to talk about is a comedy. I mentioned it in my rom-coms for 2012, Ted. I think this is really funny. And what's cool about this movie and what makes it funny is a lot of times when they have a situation where humans dealing with a character or a character's dealing with a human, they usually do it separate, right? They'll do the voiceover, and then the actor will have to play off that voiceover. Or the actor will do his thing, and then the voiceover actor will have to play off of the actor's voice. And it makes it really difficult to have that continuity and to play off each other, etc. However, in Ted, Seth MacFarlane was basically behind the couch doing the voice and kind of working Ted. And so when Mark Wahlberg's interacting with him, he's really interacting with Seth MacFarlane, which gives you the true acting energy of playing off each other. And that's why it kind of has that authentic feel to it, compared to other types of other kinds of movies that are like this. And and then when you take a teddy bear and you make them, dirty and gross and foul mouth, I mean, it makes for a pretty funny comedy, and it's enjoyable. And Mila Kunis does a good job as the girlfriend as well. She's been pretty hot through the movies we're talking about lately. She's on a roll, and she does well in this as well. Another interesting movie on my list, and I get a lot of crap when I tell people I like this, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I enjoy it because it's one of those kinds of movies, and it's kind of what we're working on in class right now, taking a piece of history and then putting some fantasy to it, or taking a piece of known history and then adding our own flavor to fill in the blanks, if you will. What they do here is they basically channel Abraham Lincoln's life, the factual history of it, and then tie in the vampires around it. So in a way, yes, it is corny, but in a way, it's kind of cool because, like, we all know in history that the Lincolns lost a baby while they were in the White House, and they just tie that piece of history to the vampires attacking the baby rather than, the way that the baby really died. And I think that that's kind of smart. It's kind of genius, and it makes it work. And the guy who plays Lincoln does a really good job. Lincoln, the movie, came out this same year, and I couldn't stand it. I hated it. I like this one a lot better. I think, Daniel Day-Lewis is trying way too hard. He looks like Lincoln. All he has to do is be, and he would have been fine. So I have a hard time with that film. But this one is good for what it is. All right, a couple of Denzel's. First one, Flight. Denzel formula on a plane, right? And, he has a problem with drinking, and he's a pilot of an airline, and, you can figure it out from there. I enjoy this movie. I like it a lot, and I think he's, typical Denzel. He's strong. It's following his formula, and he's really good in it. The other Denzel is with Ryan Reynolds, and that is Safe House. And this one falls more in line of the other ones we're talking about, like with Ethan Hawke and Chris Pine and those other ones where, they take the good-looking young actor and they put him with, the legend, and they put that chemistry together. So some people are going to come to watch Ryan, some people are going to come watch Denzel, and you sell tickets. It's a good movie. Not one of the best, but it's good. I liked Flight better for this year, but Denzel's one of my favorites, so I had to point them both out. All right, so the cool thing is that's the end of my DVDs for 2012. I'm into all Blu-ray now. First one I'll show you is Prometheus, which is in the line of the Alien films. It's actually supposed to be a prequel to Alien. It's a sci-fi film, and I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job with it. I think the way it looks and the way it sounds and the way it is on the big screen, and I have a 75-foot TV with awesome surround sound, 75-inch, not foot. Holy cow, that would be huge. It looks and sounds really good, and it's a good. I like the Alien movies, and I thought this was a good prequel to those movies. Okay, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you like sci-fi. I mean, it's definitely a acquired thing, but it's a good film if you haven't seen it. Another fun movie, and I really do like this, with Johnny Depp, Dark Shadows. He does a really good job as a vampire, and to tell the story of his life throughout as this vampire is pretty cool. You also have Michelle Pfeiffer, I believe, who I've said a million times, I really like her. I think she does an amazing job in all her work, and the kids do a good job. And then you have the guy who plays Kelly Leak from Bad News Bears when he was a kid. He's like the grave digger in it. Jackie Earle Haley's his name. And it's funny to see how he started his career as this young, like, ball player, right, in Bad News Bears, and now he has this evil look. He played Freddy Krueger in the reboot of that. He's the gravedigger in this, and he's kind of creepy, kind of has that feel, and it kind of works for this type of movie. And this is along the line of that Johnny Depp formula, right, where he's doing, Jack Sparrow, and he's doing Willy Wonka and things like that. I thought it was a good original idea. Following formulas, Liam Neeson, The Gray, except this time we're out in the woods and we're fighting wolves and all that kind of stuff, but it's just the next in line of those movies. We talked about Taken, we talked about Unknown, now we're in The Gray, right? And that's what they do, is they continue to come up with ideas that work for Liam Neeson and his style and his formula, and they just come up with different ways to sell that, and this is the next way. I don't like this as much as Unknown, but I do like him. And because of that, I will always buy his movies at the right price and watch them and enjoy them. And these never get old. Some people don't like them. I mean, I'm a fan. And so when you're a fan, you're going to buy the movies of the people you like. If you're a fan, you're going to buy the music of the bands or the singers you like. That's just how we are as people. And Liam Neeson's one of those for me. All right, next up, Jeremy Renner in The Bourne Legacy. Once again, I know a lot of people did not like this film. I liked it for two reasons. I like Jeremy Renner. I think he does a good job. And I also liked it because they made him a different character. They weren't just trying to make him Jason Bourne. As a matter of fact, Jason Bourne is not even really in this movie. It's supposed to be based off of the book, but has nothing to really do with the book but his character is an original character in the story, and they kind of tie that in. And you know, the rest is the rest. And we all know that Matt Damon came back for Jason Bourne, and you know, like I said, it is what it is. But I did enjoy this film. It was one of those ones I happened to just see on an airplane, and I really liked it, and I bought it to watch it again, because when you watch it on an airplane, you get the starts and the stops and all that kind of stuff. You know, when you get to sit down with the Blu-ray, you get to watch it in its entirety. So that's what I did, and like I said, I do enjoy the film. Another kind of action thriller, you know, Daniel Craig, Skyfall. And what's cool about Skyfall, yes, it's a Bond movie, it's a 007 movie, but it also kind of is a standalone. It kind of feels like these last few Daniel Craig 007s could be just a regular movie. You know, and especially this one, it really doesn't feel like a Bond film, which I think is kind of cool, because it is and it isn't. But I think he does a really good job. He's a really strong Bond, and I really, really like this movie. I think it's really good. I like Spectre after it. I'm looking forward to the new one. I know it got pushed back, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. He's done a great job as Bond, a really good job. And the movies he's been in are really, really good, and I love Skyfall. All right, we're on the roll of formulas. Tom Cruise, Jack Reacher, once again, falls in that formula. Could this be a Mission Impossible? Could this be, you know, one of these other movies we've talked about? Yes, it could. Night and Day, all of these kinds of things. It just happens to be under the moniker of Jack Reacher. Cool story, and this is what makes acting just so great, is the author of the book, you know, when he wrote about Jack Reacher was 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyes. And then they bring Tom Cruise in 5'7", dark hair, you know, the whole 9 yards, the exact opposite of Jack Reacher, to be the lead in this. And he was really concerned, because this is not how he visualized his character. Then he saw the movie and he said, Tom Cruise is Jack Reacher. That means Tom Cruise is doing his job. He's so believable that he's convincing the author of the book that even though he looks nothing like his idea of the character, that he is Jack Reacher. That is a huge compliment as an actor. And if you can affect anybody, let alone the people who are the visionaries of these things, you're doing your job. This is a really good movie. The second one is good as well, but this one is really good. It's a great story. It's a great movie. And as a matter of fact, I might have to watch this tonight to see it again. It's really good. Well, maybe not tonight. I have happy hour tonight, but maybe on Saturday. We'll see. All right. My runner-up for 2012, Avengers. I think this first Avengers is awesome. I love the fact that Loki is the centralized villain. I love the story behind it. I love the little, you know, side, you know, comments here and there. I love the end of the credit shawarma scene when they're all just sitting there exhausted. There's everything about this is great. The last couple Avengers, I really didn't like them. They're okay. They're okay. This one is an excellent movie, and it's one of the top 3, 4 in my opinion of Marvel films. It's really good. The whole thing is just really strong, and I really enjoyed it. And once again, and I say this a lot, in a different year, this could have been number 1 for sure. It's that good, and I enjoy it. And I actually probably watched this more than the number 1, but I really like the number 1 overall as a film compared to this one. So my runner-up is Avengers. Which leads, which all of you probably have guessed by now, my number 1 for 2012, Django Unchained. What can I say? Samuel L. Jackson, Christoph Waltz, Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio. It is a great Quentin Tarantino movie. I really like it. I love the story. I like the little roles like Don Johnson's and so on. It's really good. The interaction, the energy and stuff like this. And it will come to surprise people, and I've said this before. I think Leonardo is the best in this. This is his best film. He is unbelievably terrific in this. He's so real, so believable that you just don't like him. He does such a great job. And playing off Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson, I mean, just makes for an unbelievable film. This is really good. And really why I don't watch this one as much is the subject matter is a little tougher to watch than like an Avengers. You can just sit back and watch Avengers and let it go. With this, you have to really watch. And you have to be in a mood to do that. But that doesn't change the fact of how much I really enjoy this movie. I think it's great, and that's why it's my number 1 for 2012. You know, it's interesting now that we're into these years. You guys probably have seen most of these movies where, you know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you may be sitting there going, you know, oh, I've never heard of that, or I have to give that a look, or I've always wanted to see that, but I haven't seen it. Whereas these ones, most of these you've probably seen because they're more modern. But like to some, what's number one may be interchangeable there between an Avengers and a Django, for example. So that's what makes these later years, 2012 and so on, a little different but fun. On the music side, I got a couple I want to show you real quick. I'm going to surprise you guys. Pink, Truth About Love. I'm a Pink fan. I like her. Not really my style of music, but I think she has a grit and attitude and a voice I really appreciate and like. And I enjoy her. I think she's really good. And I think that there's a sexiness to her. I'm going to be honest. I know people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I just like Pink. I think she does a good job. When I went and saw Billy Joel live, Amy and I were there. She came out on stage and sang Try off of this with him, which was the big song off of this. So there's a lot of good tunes. I have her last few CDs. I have a greatest hits, but I just wanted to point out that I am a Pink fan. I don't know if people would expect that from me, but I did enjoy this album a lot. Next up, a solo project by Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. If you've been watching these videos, I've mentioned some of his side projects. Psycho Motel, Adrian Smith and Project, now, you know, Primal Rock Rebellion. I do enjoy this. It's very different than the stuff he's done in the past. Like with ASAP, he sang on it. With Psycho Motel, you know, he did backing vocals and stuff like that, and he does that on here. But the singer is very different stylistic compared to other singers he's had, and it makes for a different sound. But that's what you want in a project. You don't want the consistent same sound. Otherwise, they should just use the bands that they had before. If they're going to do a side project with a different singer, then that sound has to adapt to the voice of the singer, and the singer has to adapt to the sound of the guitar player, and that's what they do here. This is a really good album. I have two versions. I have the regular version. I'm showing you guys the sealed Japanese version, and the reason I got this one, of course, if you've been paying attention, the bonus tracks. I have to open this and download those, but that is Awoken Broken by Primal Rock Rebellion. My runner-up, and this was tough, but at the end, the winner had to win out. So my runner-up is Madness, Wee, See, See, Ya, Ya, Da, Da. So great title. If you're translating, yes, 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 yes. And that's what you got. To me, this is one of the best albums in many years. I think it's great. And I like all their material. I told you, I'm going to go see them next May with Tyler. I really like Madness. They are a lot more than Our House. They have a lot of great songs. On this one, they open up with My Girl too. So on their first album, they have a song called My Girl. And now the years later, they are doing a follow-up, a sequel to My Girl. You know, I Never Knew Your Name is awesome. That's one of my favorite Madness songs of all time. I always listen to it. How Can I Tell You? I love Misery. I love La Luna is really good. This album is really strong, and actually was listened to. I've told you, I've done this many times as I'm going through the next year. I start listening to these albums. I'm like, wow, this album is really strong. There's no songs I want to skip, and this one is really good. And you know what? It's a non-heavy metal. It's kind of, you know, they were ska, but it's kind of just like a you know, a pop rock album, and you need to listen to it because it's not going to kill your ears if you don't like heavy metal. I get it. Check this out. Wee, See, See, Ya, Ya, Da, Da by Madness. It's really good. But my number one for 2012 is Clockwork Angels by Rush. To me, it has to be number one. It's their last official studio release. And since Neil Peart died earlier this year, this will be it. Overall, it's a really good album, song for song. I love it. It's a story. Clockwork Angels is a whole story. And then actually, Neil had done a book, and I'm not sure if he did it. I think he did it with a co-author on the story of Clockwork Angels. I think it may have been, I may be wrong, but it may be based off of a book, Clockwork Angels. I'm not sure. It's one or the other, but you get the point. The whole point is that this is a story based off of a book. And it's really cool to listen to from start to finish because it kind of tells the story and all the different characters and such. And there's so many good songs on here. The Anarchist is one of my favorite Rush songs. The Wreckers is phenomenal. Headlong Flight, Caravan, Be You to Be is phenomenal. The Garden, where it ends, is really strong. And once again, I can go on and on and on. And what's something pretty cool, I'll show you a pretty cool tidbit. If you look at the album cover, it's a clock. And if it's military time, the time is 2112, which is kind of paying homage to their famous album 2112. And I like, once again, you've heard me say this, I love little tidbits like that where you have people do those kinds of original things where, hey, you know what, if you catch this, great. If you don't, oh well. You know how I am. I'm like, what time is it on the clock? And then I put the pieces together and you see that. But that is the last Rush album. It is very different sounding than the one before, just like the one before that. And that's what makes Rush great. I guarantee you, no matter what style of music you like, if you sit and listen to Rush, Clockwork Angels, you'll just listen to the whole thing all the way through. There's nothing about it where you're going to sit there and go, wow, I don't want to listen to this. You will listen to the whole thing through. And you'll do the same thing with Wee Wee CC Ya Ya Da Da by Madness. So really two good albums for 2012. But once again, number one, Rush, Clockwork Angels. And on the movie side, Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. So 2012 in the books. Monday will be at 2013. I appreciate you guys watching. Keep bringing the comments on. Subscribe if you haven't done that. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday.